How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
The future is absolutely bright, but it's not bright if we don't own it, right? We are at a state in life right now where the industry has been shifted. We are way past the advent and gold rush of technology. We are beyond what people typically talk to us about, which is like broadband access, right? We're on AI, we're on AGI, we're on quantum computing, right? And so the reason why that future is bright, because the people that are sitting here in this room get it. And so when people like this who sit in the room get it, we're able to spread the word in a way that's uniquely positioned to give people in Queens a global opportunity to scale at a level they've never scaled before. Queens is the most diverse place to live on the planet. The most diverse place to live on the planet. And so if you're talking about how we implement these strategies, the new app you were just talking about networking differently, if we do this as a conglomerate and really come together and hold and stand tight, Queens is the future because we are the world. And so look, we have an opportunity right now with FIFA World Cup coming in and all these people out here who have these apps and doing things with connecting folks. We need to be positioning you and putting you in the right seats in order to scale at a different level and not just scale in mediocrity, but scale to heights. And so we are positioned and we're ready. Thanks, Cora.
Yes. Okay. So Queens is probably the most diverse place in the world, and we have over 135 languages that are spoken here. Yeah. But while Queens is super diverse, we're also very siloed. It's very segregated communities where we don't work in tandem. We work as individuals. We work within our communities. So, John, you founded the Blap app. It's an e-commerce app for Black-owned businesses. Why did you think it was important to create that space for Black business owners?
We were just having this conversation, right? I was a Afro history major, minor, however you want to do it, and with an emphasis in poverty. And in my studies, I found that, like oftentimes one of the detrimental things that folks talk about for Black people is lack of access to capital. And then they always go into the whole, the Black Wall Street era and whatever. But what people leave out and what you'll never even hear on the far, far, far left, the most liberal spaces is the circulation of the dollar. They still won't talk about that. They'll never ever talk about, in the Asian community, 20-something days, the Jewish community, 20 days, white folks, general, 17 days. Black people, just under 6 hours. Just under 6 hours. So I understand, why won't they let us into this, let us into that? A lot of the problems that we have that no one ever talks about is what we're wearing. What's on your watch?
What do you mean?
Where'd you eat? Where do we spend our money? You know what I mean? Economic power starts with where you buy dinner tonight. What kind of sheets are on your bed? What kind of detergent did you use in your washer? How are you going to wash your clothes? Who owns the earring company that you're wearing right now? The sunglasses. Do you know what I'm saying? We have a 2.1 annual trillion-dollar spending power that we give to the same fucking people. Oh, I'm sorry.
We feel the passion.
To the same people that would never give you a bank loan, would never hire you, would never eat in your restaurants. 2.1, I didn't say billion, I said trillion dollar spending power. If you want to see Black businesses thrive, wake up tomorrow and order some Black-owned sheets, flip-flops, use Black-owned soap in the shower, buy some Black-owned bath mats, towels, see what happens to the Black community. A lot of this yelling and screaming and complaining would go by the wayside. There's other communities that also have struggled with access to capital. You don't see them begging. You don't see them whining, but you also don't see them with a white dentist. You also don't see them in black stores spending their money. They spend their money amongst themselves. And yeah, is there still racism and whatever against them? Yeah. Is there any disrespect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So that's why I built Blap, to give us an outlet. Now, on the graceful side, to be graceful, I understand. Anybody shopping, where is something accessible? How's it easy? Where would anybody in here buy black-owned sunglasses, a watch, and toilet paper? We don't have anywhere to do that yet. So that's what I'm building out.
I love it. I love it. So, Randy, I'm going to get back to you. Since you touched on the point with funding and how we access funding in certain communities, Ebony, as a borough leader, what is the Queensborough President's Office doing to help founders access funding?
Yep. We're doing a lot. So, when I came into the space, I wanted to lead tech because I knew that we as Black people were already behind, but I needed the data to press that up against. And so I asked for the data. Everybody kind of looked at me because, I'm coming into government from like corporate and nonprofit. They're like, data, get everybody jobs. And I'm like, no, we got to stop doing that, right? We got to start building ecosystems for change versus throwing people into just jobs to do that. That day is done. We are at a gig economy and we need to be doing this right. And so, we had all the information we needed to really think about, what we're doing as people, to think about how we as a people do things a little bit differently. And so, that starts with, the folks up here doing what they do so diligently with Blap, etc. But we need to really kind of dig in and think about how we execute on another level. And that needs to start with asking right questions, digging a little deeper, and moving the spaces forward in Queens like they've never had before.
Right. And Randy, so AI is moving and it's growing very fast. And we're hearing AI this, AI that. And everybody's like, when am I going to get a piece of this? So how can founders and small businesses use AI to keep up with what's happening?
They have to not just jump on the bandwagon, but really understand what the workflows and systems that they're using need AI, where they actually need it, and then apply it there. Because yes, everyone is hearing all the buzzwords. Everyone thinks that they want to adopt AI in their company, their corporation. You can get all the tools for free, but how do you use them is important. Because if you don't know how to use them, you can end up wasting a lot of money and a lot of time. What I tell a lot of people is AI is never going to replace human judgment, but the person that knows how to use it is going to replace you. So what these companies need to do better is really take a step back and think about, how can this add to our productivity? How can this add to our speed? Where do we actually need it? And that's honestly where my company comes in, because I work with companies to really figure out, how is it that this will benefit you? It may not benefit you. You don't know. I think it definitely will, but you have to really figure out what workflows, what automations, what processes do we have that AI can benefit from? And then that's how we implement it.
Okay, so now when we talk about AI and implementing AI, I can start by saying that a lot of underserved communities are very scared of AI. How do we get them to join the race? Because it is a race for AI, and it's moving rather quickly.
Well, the one thing that I always impart is artificial intelligence is the biggest innovation of our lifetime. And we absolutely cannot afford as a community to not get on board. And I definitely understand there are a lot of questions about the ethical use of it, biases, hallucination, the environmental impacts. All of that is not going anywhere. We need to figure out what side of that we want to be on and support that, but still make sure that we are armed with the tools and knowing how to use them, because it's not going anywhere. So with small businesses, with people that are afraid, it's like with any technology. Technology is scary no matter what. When the iPhone came out, people couldn't understand, how am I going to type on something that doesn't have a keyboard that I can feel? Any new technology, any new innovation that comes out, they're going to be great early adopters, and they're going to be people that are scared to get on board. But this is like nothing that we've ever seen, and primarily because of the money that's tied to it, and how the cost savings that are tied to it, and how businesses can make more money because they can produce more with artificial intelligence. So what I just tell people, you take it at your own pace, right? There are free tools. You don't need every tool. I teach an AI masterclass, and one thing I tell everybody, you have to decide what your tech stack is, because it is absolutely overwhelming. Even for me, as a certified artificial intelligence consultant, you hear terms every single day. I get every newsletter you can think of, but and I was just talking about this with Brendan, you have to know what your lane is and stay in that lane so that you're comfortable. You get comfortable. The more you do something, the more you get better at it, and that's with anything. AI is no different.
Ebony, how does Queens get on the good side of AI?
Yeah, so the first thing is I think we need to get people informed. We've created a tech ecosystem that works through information activation, collaboration, and wealth building. At the information stage, many of our people don't even understand that tech is the bodega, tech is laying cement. They're under the assumption that it's only software engineering and coding. And so we get stuck right there because we can't get past that space. We run from it, like she said. And so the activation piece, we're getting all of this funding from the city for trainings and different types of things. But the problem is that we get the money for it, but under the information and activation, the activators in workforce development and skills building skew people into areas that don't really work for long-term success. It's only momentary fixes. And so that's usually jobs, momentary. We're way past jobs. We're in the gig economy. We need innovators. We need creators. We need those type of people. And so we need to start positioning people from the information lens, having them understand that, activating that information appropriately, and then collaborating with people even outside of the U.S. We've got collaborators now in Africa, in Lagos, Nigeria, collaborators in Mexico City, to think about, if I don't see people that look like me at mass scale, what happens? I turn the other way. I go out the door. And so that information activation and collaboration piece is so imperative to wrap that whole thought around how you engage people at every level, and not just from the access building piece, but also from wealth building, which I think is really imperative for people.
Thank you. John, you work with a lot of Black businesses. What are you hearing from some of the users on the Black app about AI and what's coming in the age of AI? Are they prepared?
No. And in all fairness, I don't think anyone's prepared, because I think it is a little overwhelming. We do hear different terms every day, or this new AI platform or program or whatever is coming out. So yeah, I think it is a little intimidating, but people are at least asking questions and are interested in it. So that's a good sign, and I do think that once you get your toe in the water, you realize it's not as daunting as you think. I started I started on ChatGPT, and then slid over to Claude, Opus Clip. So if there's, I'm also a stand-up comedian. So I use Opus for my stand-up clips. I started using that, got comfortable with that, and then, now I jump around a bunch of different AI products. But again, I think it's smart too to stay in your lane. Don't try to do everything, because you will get overwhelmed and get lost and find out that they're charging you $10 a month on 70 platforms. So you don't want to do that. But I think that the merchants are slowly asking about it, and then some of them are slowly getting into the water. Like you said, though, the ones that get into the water first are going to, run leaps and bounds. And we're adding AI to the platform now with the mapping functionality. Blap started off as a map that would figure out wherever you were standing in the world, put the Black-owned businesses around you on a Google map. But AI is literally currently, like if you go on there, the app will say under construction, but it's literally for that. We're testing AI to see if AI can predict businesses that are Black-owned businesses that should be flagged on the map. And in the merchant segment, you can now take a picture of your jewelry, just put it down on the table, and then the AI will put it into a cool looking setting. So yeah, we don't have a choice.
I had to ask, how are you doing that?
With a lot of money. Out begging for a lot of money to make these changes. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Again, you gotta keep up.
And how are your users receiving it?
Oh, they love it. They love it when I do it, as long as they don't have to get it. They don't have to get into it. Yeah, but anything that benefits the businesses on my platform or makes it easy for the users, they're all for it. They're all about it. Yeah.
So now, Randy, how do we keep up with all these platforms?
That's a good question. Again, I would say this, and this is what I usually tell a lot of users. Think about that repetitive task that you have. If you find that you are using a specific tool almost daily, then that is the tool that you add to your stack. Right? Again, so many things come our way. I hear about different things, and everything is not for everybody. So for example, while I am neck deep in all the tools, I'm not big on making like the digital avatars. That's just not my thing, and that's okay. Do I know how to do it? Absolutely. But is it something that I'm using right now? No. And it's a season, right? I may not be using it now, but in a few months, I'm developing an online curriculum. I may want to have my digital twin in the training videos as opposed to myself. Then it would be the season for that. So again, you pick what works for you, right? If you know that I am always having to write, brainstorm, creativity, then there's certain models that are better for that. If you're a research person, then you will kind of lean towards other models that are better for that. If you're more on the digital and the creativity side, then there are a ton of tools for that. I think it's just about knowing what it is that you want to do now. I love curious people, right? Because it's all about curiosity. So you can tinker with everything, but you have to kind of learn. It's like anything else. This may not be for me. This tool may not be for me. John just said he used ChatGPT and Claude, right? There was a season in my life I used ChatGPT explicitly. Now I'm more so on Claude. It's still there. Absolutely, right?
I think we're all there at this
absolutely,
point.
Right. So I think it's just a matter of knowing what it is that you want, honing in on that tool, because this is the tool that is allowing me to accomplish everything that I need to accomplish, and then deciding how much you want to invest in it. So it really just depends. Yeah.
Ebony, I want to ask you, so AI, a lot of the funders and VCs in the city, they're looking for more startups who are building an AI. What is Queens doing to prepare local founders?
So, a couple things. We have the Queens Economic Development Corporation, Queens Global Tech and Innovation Center, which is like more hyper-focused on seed and Series A. And then right before that is our pre-seed work. So if you go to queenstartup.org, go right now, queenstartup.org, you can win $20,000. They have a variety of avenues that you can compete in. And that is for a thought, your pre-seed thought. I have a thought, I want to do this. I've got some momentum going around it already. You can apply for this. They take you through a 9-month course to help you connect, get the resources you need, apply those resources, get connections, that sort of thing. You can win $20,000 by just participating in that, but you also walk away with like a hyper crazy benefit, right? So that's pre-seed work. On the seed level, we will be opening up the first Global Tech and Innovation Center. It was going to be right here in the city building on the 33rd floor with floor-to-ceiling windows, 360-degree views. Oh! But we just found out that Apollo came in and bought the entire building for residential. Apollo Real Estate. So anyway, that's okay, because we know how to bounce back, because we're Queens, right? And so we are going to be moving in the Jackson Co building, which is like less than a mile from that spot. 40,000 square feet, still floor-to-ceiling windows, not the 33rd floor, but that is being built right now. It should be accessible to all by the end of 2026, early winter of 2027. We're taking the first 15 fellows that are at seed and Series A level. The objective is to run them through a 3-year process. Your payment is your metrics. You have access to very high-end board members that can open doors, and I won't name those people right now, but they can open doors for you. And then we are raising the funds right now to support what the data said on the HRNA report, was that brown and black people said at the very bottom of the New York City tech ecosystem. So we're not doing this in Queens because I'm black and the borough president's black, right? We're doing it because the data says that there's a problem in the tech ecosystem. Brown and Black people sit at the very bottom of that. And so now we're going to open the door to funding, to the resources. And then at the intersection of that is globalization. So our partnerships with Lagos, Nigeria, and Mexico City, you will have access to those countries quick and fast because we are working with the governments of those countries to make sure that you have that access. We will be working on the neurocognition of Brown and Black people, specifically around, read these 2 books. I just talked to you about it. Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy and A Framework for Understanding Poverty by Dr. Ruby Payne. Really breaking down the silos of how America and what America has done to our minds and how we need to change and shift that. And then there's the metric piece with McKinsey. How do you metric it out so that at the end of that 3 years, you've got data to really support it? And then edutainment. How do we get celebrities into the room to talk to you about having fun but educating you at the same time? So at the intersection of all 4 of those things, the Global Tech and Innovation Center, Seed and Series A, Pre-Seed and Seed, Queens Tech and Innovation Challenge. You can find that at queenstartup.org.
Thank you. That's exciting. And I'm looking forward to all of this because I'm a founder myself and it's been very difficult, being a Black woman. I need money. When I met you,
and Black women were at the very
bottom of everything. But yeah, we're overperforming all the time, but the funding is not coming in. So this is Queens. It's not Silicon Valley. It's not Manhattan. But any founder who's building in Queens, whether they're Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, they're facing the same challenges.
Absolutely, they are.
So now, John, as a Black founder, what are some advice that you have for people who are trying to grow or want to go into this startup and tech space? I recommend not to do it because it's very, very hard, but we're doing it, so.
I would say ditto.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Keep your day job. First and foremost, I would say, I don't know, I would say that you're not crazy, because oftentimes, I was at a summit in San Francisco and there was a round table like this, 4 people, 3 or 4 people sitting at the table, and the person asking them questions, all of these folks are like mega billionaires, and he was like, one of them was one of the first folks at Google, Microsoft, but all these people are worth at least $5 or $10 billion, and the person asked them, he said, could you take this pencil there on the table on a piece of paper and write down a word that reminded you of your early startup life when you first started? And all of them, write something on the piece of paper, and then he picks up the first piece of paper and he opens it up and he says, lonely. Oh, yeah. And then he goes to the next piece of paper, he picks it up, he says, lonely. Yeah, it's very lonely, so I would say, if I could give folks advice, that you're not crazy. So the feelings that we're feeling about having the damnedest time of raising money, it's not you. You are not the only person. We were just having a conversation, and I was telling, talking about celebrity folks. Like I said, I'm a stand-up comedian, so the comedy community, by the grace of God, has put money in the Blab. So I have a lot of celebrities that are invested in Blab.
Can you send them to Queens?
After I'm done with them. But even with that being said, I'm still out here struggling, to raise money. Just hit 425,000 downloads yesterday. Haven't done any, haven't spent a penny growing Blab. Not a penny. I haven't even asked my celebrity investors to, you would think that it grew because they promoted it. None of them have promoted it. None of them. I haven't asked any of these folks. And it's still difficult. Oh, and we were talking about the bar moving. So first, what do you need? You need an idea that has some sort of market fit, right? And then we do that. And then you got to get the thing together, right? And then I did that. And then you got to get some traction. Almost 500,000 downloads. Still waiting. Then they move the bar again. Well, how much money are you making? Well, how many times did these people buy from you? So for us, they just keep moving the bar. Oh, you got to get smart money in. Who are your investors? One of my investors created Venmo. What white boy that had the founder of Venmo, Chris Rock, Tiffany Haddish, Tracy Morgan, with money in an app and 500,000 downloads would be looking for money? You looking at them. So it ain't you. It is not you. We are in a very, very tricky place. Don't feel like you're crazy. You're not crazy. We got to keep digging. And again, you know, thanks to these wonderful women up here, we have to reimagine the way that we raise money. Trying to do things like these folks over and over again and looking for different results is not working. We have to do something else. We have to find another way to come together to raise money in this space.
Can I offer something
Sure,
to the
go
two
ahead.
of you as founders?
Sure, go ahead.
That were looking for funding. So in preparing for today, I was doing a lot of reading on venture capitalists and how the ecosystem has changed. And so it's not you. So, and I know you know that, right? It's not you. Because what I learned, first of all, in 2025, like 60% of the VC funding went to AI, full stop, right? Everything went to AI. But the problem with that is not fairly distributed. It's elitist companies, the OpenAIs and the Anthropics and SpaceX, right?
SpaceX.
So it's a very different time for looking for funding because the system has changed. And forget women and black people. I have those numbers too if you want it, because I went down a rabbit hole.
Give us the numbers. We love the data. Give us the numbers.
Women, for black, it's 0.32%.
Yeah.
So it's not even 1%.
Not
No,
1%. And
no.
it was 1.5 in 2021. And that's because
At
of
its
the racial
peak.
reckoning
Yeah.
as a result of everything that happened in 2020, right? For women, it's 1%. And it's down, and that's because, so they keep touting the diversity stats are actually skewed because they keep touting a higher number, but they're touting it based on a company called Space AI and Anthropic who had women co-founders, but they left in 2018. So that's not even accurate anymore. So the numbers are completely off. So I say that just to offer you, it's not you. We're in a completely different
Yes.
landscape of what VC capital with funding is looking like right now, and it's not getting easier. So the question that you just asked is what should you do? But Ebony actually kind of touched on it a little bit, like finding advisor investors. So the program that she's doing out in Queens is actually excellent because you need now alternative sources of funding for founders now. It's not the same game that it was before. So I'm not in that stage at all and not even looking. And I'm from the Bronx. I'm not from Queens. However, just to offer you that, because like I said, when I read that, it's disheartening, right? Because you feel like, well, where do I fit in? The valuation right now for SpaceX is $800 billion. We're not competing with that.
How are they coming up with these numbers?
Right. Because it's because the people they're more invested in the people that are running like think tanks. So it's the good old boys network that we've always known about has graduated now to VC. Whereas before you would have all of these ways of just pitches just for minority and women businesses. All of that is done.
It's all done.
Yeah. So just wanted to offer that.
Are we talking about the end of DEI or is it something else?
They're gonna rebrand it.
Absolutely.
Because I'm already, I have some partnerships with some of these companies, and they're using different. I'm just telling you about the meeting that I just left, but they're bringing it under a different name. But you still early on. I would say find as many angels as you can. Also, social media is a good way. Even if I know you think you have to have 1 million followers, but you don't. If you have 500 followers, 1,000 followers, you never know who knows who. That's a way to reach a lot more people. Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is the progress that I've had. Or if you're just starting out, just do the day-to-day stuff. People are watching. So sometimes that's a better way than to just sit there and be frustrated. Also, you never know who has money. My very first investor, I got on with a really racist guy, and we got on the meeting, and the first thing he said to me, he said, just so you know, before we get started, I hate Black Lives Matter. Best friend of the club that I work at down at the Comedy Cellar, and he's making these racist comments on every slide, and I just my spirit wouldn't allow me to take his money. So I get on with a friend, I tell her the story, and she says, well, why don't we go over the deck? We went to acting class together. Maybe you could work on it and pitch some other people and make some money that way. So we start going over the deck, and halfway through she said, oh, I'm in. And I said, oh, you like you like the sound of this? She said, yeah, but no, I'm in. I want to put some money in. I said, you don't have any money. You know what I'm saying? You can't put money in if you don't have any money. She said, well, my dad said if I ever saw something that I 100% knew would make me money after I graduated from college, he would send it to me with no question. And that was my first investor. So you never know. You never know if you put it out there. Just keep putting it out there. And like I said, any way that you can use social media to help get the word out, I think that would help. Again, any angel groups that you can get in, Pipeline Angels, any of those any of those groups where there's groups of people that will hear your story at one time, run to those places.
And I think I hear that a lot as a founder about putting yourself out there and letting people know what you're working on and telling them your story. You know, because you want people to know who you are, where you come from, and how you got to where you are. So now that we're here, Randy, how do we leverage AI to be able to compete with the big boys?
You have to just start using it. You have it's no question. It is no longer let me step back for a second, because you have to understand my background to understand why I'm as passionate as I am. I've been in IT for almost 30 years, and currently I'm the head of IT for a global cosmetics brand, in addition to having started Stronger Systems Group this year. So I have my own business and I still have a full-time job, thank God. And so I see access. I see the equity that comes with using technology and how it is really the big divide. And it is, and you have to just get in there and start. We can no longer afford to be left behind. You know, again, in going down a rabbit hole, 53% of African Americans use AI daily or weekly, compared to 39% of people, the general population. So we are in there and we are using it. We are creating the models because they're training on our data. We are driving the adoption metrics, but we somehow have gotten left out of the wealth that is coming with it. That's a problem. We always do, but that's a problem. So it's not that we are not using it. It is being used. It's all a matter of just learning how. But for those that have not, you have to. So again, I encounter especially women, because women carry guilt of the ethical use. Oh, I don't want people to think I cheated, or I know it's bad for the environment. You got to put that aside. Again, I've been a woman in IT for a long time. I also benefit from my name being Randy, so they never see me come on a secret weapon. Right? So I always am like, you just have to try. Break it. You'll learn how to fix it. Because that's how you learn. You gotta break it. I break things all the time, right? You have to. It's a non-negotiable, because again, like I started at the top, this is the biggest innovation of all of our lifetimes, and it is not going anywhere. And the more money they're throwing at it, the bigger it's going to get. And who's always left behind? Us.
And I think I understand where you're coming from, because even though I'm in tech, I've been holding back and being so, holding back on AI. Is it good? Where is it going? Is it bad? Because we're always conscientious of what it's doing to our communities and what's happening around us. So I've been holding back, and eventually last week I said, I can't do this. You're trying to handle so many things at once, and AI just makes it easier. So now, Ebony, I want to ask you, AI is here. It's here. It's been here. So what does a future, and if you had to picture Queens as a tech hub, as the next Silicon Valley, what would it look like? And I'm not talking about data centers.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first thing it would look like is we would create a space that we could be forward thinking and not be reactive to all of what we're doing now. So the question that you just asked about AI, what I would say is, get over it. It's over. You better start tapping into AGI and quantum computing. That's going to take us ahead of ourselves. So learn AI quickly. They right now, I'm talking about the supremacy, are like, yeah, keep them talking on AI. We've moved on to quantum computing, AGI. We're investing in all of this futuristic stuff. What I would encourage you to do is look at what they're doing in quantum computing right now. I had a group of students from Yale and Harvard, just a couple blocks away from here, talking to me about quantum computing. And I'm sitting down with these 20-year-olds, and I'm like, OMG, we just missed it again. Brown and black people just missed it again. They are already on building systems for quantum, AGI. What I'm going to encourage us to do tonight, and what I think Queens will look like in the future, is being proactive in a way that we open the door to success like never before. So while we're talking about what is current, we are also digging deep into what will be. And so the quantum computing, the AGIs, we are starting to put groups of thinkers and collaborators together to think about, how do we get to the gold rush now? How do we start making the money way? Because in about a year, we'll be back here talking about, well, quantum computing. No, let's not do that anymore. Let's come here next year and say, oh, I've already built a system through quantum computing that I was smart enough to grab these kids from Yale and Harvard and have a conversation about what we're going to be doing next. And so instead of lagging the conversation on what is, Queens will be what will be.
Nice, I love it, and I love being here, and I love that we're growing right here in Queens. So, John, I want to ask you, I want to get into the youth. We have Black and brown kids. They're not exposed to half of these conversations that we're having. So, as a founder of a tech company that caters to a Black marketplace, how do you reach the youth and create that space for them to catch up and to be on a level playing field?
Yeah, I was just talking about this, that I spoke at a high school out in Brooklyn. I live in Brooklyn, and I go in there, and they introduce me. Oh, John's a comedian. He's also a tech founder, whatever. I start talking to the kids. They always ask the same question first. You know Kevin Hart?
Do you?
Yeah, I know Kevin Hart. Yeah, me and Kev go way back, but so you got to go through those questions, and then we get into the tech stuff. They were tech students, and the next morning, the teacher calls me. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, why is he bothering me the next day? I was on stage all night. And he said, hey, man, those 50 students you talked to yesterday, he said, I think 41 or 42 of them came in the next day with ideas for apps. I know. I almost started crying right there in bed because I knew the light bulb had been lit. And I asked him, I said, yo, how were the ideas? And he said, they were terrible. You know what I'm saying? These were some terrible ass apps. But it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? As long as the idea of, oh, I could do that. We were just having this conversation, me and Ebony, and I was saying, unfortunately, when it comes to youth, Black folks, we don't have a Tiger Woods in tech. White folks got Elon. They have people that are so rich and so whatever that it's like, oh, that looks cool. I want to do that. We don't have our Serena yet. You know what I mean? We need somebody that Drake says, oh, yeah, I want to be like John and have, $30 billion. Once that happens, I think you will have young people like, yo, I could do what? You know what I'm saying? This dude got a yacht from that Black dude. I could do that. I could come up with an AI joint and blow that out the water. But we need a head on the stake. We need, I think, for young people, unfortunately, unless we're going to do a bunch of people in the schools to go hit schools every day like me to light those light bulbs. And unfortunately, we don't have those yet. I think that we will shortly, God willing, I'll be there in 18 months. You know what I'm saying? And they'll be like, oh, John, Cardi B and Shaq and Tracy and Tiffany are all invested in Black, and this dude made, $50 billion. I could do that. He not that. The first thing I said to dude, I said, they must not thought I was that smart. For all them to come back the next day like, man, I could do that. I got an idea. But I think that oftentimes as young people, you need a Jordan out there. You need a Tiger. You need someone that they can say, that guy looks like me. That sister looks like me, and she's worth what? That's why I wanted to have my own production company, which I wanted to do the business of comedy. It's because I heard about what Harpo was. I saw those talk show hosts, and I was like, why does Oprah make so much more money than them? And I love hip hop coming up. And I was like, why is Suge Knight worth all that money and he's not rapping? So then down the rabbit hole, you know what I'm saying, Randy? And then I found out, oh, it's the production company behind the thing, which is how I, got into the tech space. I own the platform. I don't own the company, a bunch of companies. I own the platform that companies come on. That's where the money is. But if we could show some of these young folks a Tiger or Serena, I think there'd be a dam break.
But I also want to ask about some of these numbers. When we talk about these numbers in tech, I think the founder of OpenAI, Sam Altman, he's worth about $280 billion. So are these unimaginary numbers like we're trying to reach? Are we able to reach those numbers?
Let me repeat what I said earlier. Black folks have a $2.1 trillion spending power every year. So do you think that I think it's unattainable to reach 200 billion? Not at all. Keep in mind, my biggest surprise since I started Blab was liberal white women. When I first propped up the e-commerce space, I would never say this in public. I guess we kind of in public. I know. You know, but it's a small group. Y'all feel like family. The first 2 purchases randomly that came in, because we never did promote the e-commerce. I just propped it up so we could quietly get some data. White women.
What were they buying?
T-shirt and a cup, and the second order, I think, was a candle. But that $2.1 trillion, trust me, there's another ocean in the trillions of dollars. 45% of folks, according to McKinsey, of folks believe that people should actively support black-owned businesses more. That's not just black people. We don't make up 45% of the country. So that means 3 times what our percentage is. If we got a 2.1 trillion spending power, there's another 6 or 7 trillion sitting out there with white folks, Latino folks, Asian folks that are also willing to spend. So does 200 billion sound out of this world to me? Not at all. Not once we get folks' habits changed. And somebody thinks about, oh, I'm thinking about buying a shirt, I'm thinking about buying some glasses. Where do I go buy dinner? Where do I order these school supplies from? And somebody thinks, oh, you know what, let me check Black first. Yeah, you can hit 200 billion.